Hi, hello students. I am Dr. P. Auraki Juliet, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce with Computer Application, Arlanandar College, Karmat. In this video, we are going to learn cost accounting. So in cost accounting, we should learn elements of cost accounting. Elements of cost. Elements, which is otherwise called as components or parts. So parts of total cost is called as the elements of cost. This cost divided by three main elements that are materials, labor and expenses. And each elements also divided into two parts, that is direct and indirect. So accordingly, cost can be classified into direct material, indirect material, direct labor, indirect labor, direct expenses and indirect expenses. Let's we go to learn direct material. Direct material cost. This kind of expenditure share their major amount of cost. So it becoming constituent elements of a product or saleable services. This material cost uses to identify with units of output or services are known as the direct material. For example, cotton used in production of cloth. If we produce the cloth, if we buy the cottons, so how much amount of tons cotton we go to produce for the how much meter of cloth. So based on that we can find out the output measurement. So that only it is called the direct material cost. Indirect material cost. Materials which is other than the direct material used for to produce the product is called the indirect materials. So material cost which could not be identified the specific job or process is known as the indirect material. For example, small tools, stationery used in works, office stationery. Like that, spanner and screwdriver, it uses to tighten the bolt and remove the bolt. But we could not identify for what purpose we have to use this kind of tools. But we need to operate the particular machine. So that only indirectly it helps to run the business is called the indirect material. Direct labor cost. When one organization directly connect with employees to do the particular production operations. So, how much amount they have to spend to produce the particular amount of product to employees alone is called the direct labor cost. For example, workmen engaged in assembling parts or carpenters engaged in furniture making. So when one furniture making company engaged with carpenters to do the particular work like to make a cot, table or sofa. So for particular job they have to spend. So that amount is called the labor cost. This is indirect labor cost. This kind of remuneration paid by the organization to a person whose are helps for to produce the product. For example, watchman, sweepers, storekeeper, etc. So these persons does not help directly for to produce the product, but it helps to produce the product. So for that purpose, the organization manage these kind of people, maintain this kind of people. So that only it is called the indirect labor cost. Then direct expenses cost. This kind of expenditures directly identified with a unit of output for a particular job or a particular process. So they are specifically included for a particular job or a particular unit. So it does not connect with other jobs or process. For example, higher charges of special plant used for a job or royalty on product. Royalty means when we go to produce the particular product, we get approval from the some authorized person. So authorized person give the permission to produce the product. So for to produce the particular product, we have to pay the some amount to the authorized person. So that amount is called the royalty. So this kind of expenditures directly included the cost of product. So that only it is called the direct expenses cost. Then last element is indirect expenses cost. Expenses which are other than indirect material and indirect labor. So already we learned what is indirect material and indirect labor. So other than these two cost is called the indirect expenses cost, which cannot be directly identified with units or output for a particular job or a particular process. For example, rent, power, lighting, depreciation, bank charges, advertising, etc. These kind of expenditure is must for to produce the product, but it does not help directly to produce the particular amount of product. So we can identify these kind of expenditures based on their output or a job indirectly. So that only it is called the indirect expenses cost. Thank you students. We will meet in our next video. Thank you.